Have you ever really stopped to think about what money is? I mean, we've got coins, paper bills, numbers on a screen. But what if money was something you could actually eat? Sounds kind of crazy, right? Well, for one of the most powerful empires in history, that was their reality. So the question isn't, could chocolate ever be money? The answer is, it already was.
All right, let's get into it. The first thing that probably pops into your head when you hear chocolate money is the Aztec Empire, right? And you're not wrong, but the story goes way deeper than that. This idea is so much older. The Aztecs didn't invent it, they perfected it.
So long before the Aztecs even showed up and built their incredible capital city, you had other massive civilizations that had already figured this out. They had already made cacao a cornerstone of their economy. It's like the foundation was already there. Cacao wasn't just something you ate or drank. Everyone already understood that it represented value. It was a trusted way to trade.
And this timeline, wow, it really puts it into perspective, doesn't it? We're talking several centuries BCE. The Olmec and the Maya are already using cacao beans as currency. So when the Aztecs come onto the scene in the 14th century, they're basically handed this incredibly sophisticated financial system. They didn't have to invent it. They just took it and ran with it, scaling it up for their massive empire. So by the time the Spanish show up, using cacao beans for money was just how things were done. It was the law of the land, no questions asked.
Okay, so we've established that the Aztecs inherited this tradition, but how did they take it from a common practice to the literal foundation of their entire economy? Well, it turns out it has everything to do with where they lived and how powerful their army was. So to really get the Aztec system, you have to understand this one key idea: commodity money. Think about a dollar bill. It's just a piece of paper, right? Its only value is what we agree it's worth. But a cacao bean, now that's different. It had real built-in value. You could use it to buy something, sure, but you could also grind it up and make this amazing high-energy drink. It's that dual purpose that made everyone trust it. It was useful in and of itself.
And here's the kicker, the thing that really cemented its value. The Aztec capital, Tenochtitlan, was this incredible city, a total engineering marvel. But it was built up high in the mountains in the Valley of Mexico. And guess what can't grow there? Cacao trees. So think about that. The very thing they used for money couldn't even be produced where they lived. It had to be imported, which automatically made it a valuable, almost exotic good.
So the obvious question is, how'd they get it? Well, through brute force, basically. The Aztec Empire was constantly expanding. They'd go out and conquer all these hot, humid coastal areas where cacao grew like crazy. And then they'd demand that these new provinces pay their taxes, their tribute, in cacao beans. It's actually a genius system when you think about it. Their military conquests were literally funding their treasury and stocking the entire economy with cash. Just brilliant.
And I want to be clear, this wasn't some cute little novelty. These cacao beans were the absolute lifeblood of the Aztec economy. I mean, everybody used them, every single day, from a farmer at the market all the way up to the emperor himself.
Just try to picture it. You're walking through one of these huge, crowded Aztec markets. You've got all the sounds, all the smells, and the language of business, the thing that makes it all work. It's not the clinking of coins. It's the rustle and counting of beans. Everyone, and I mean everyone, knew what things were worth in cacao. It was the universal standard that made everything just flow.
And check out this table. It really makes it concrete. So a couple of beans, that's enough to grab a quick snack. You want some new clothes or maybe a tool? That'll be a few dozen beans. And for something big, like a whole turkey for a feast, we're talking hundreds of beans. It's pretty cool, right? You can see how the entire economy, from top to bottom, was measured against this one little bean.
Okay, so cacao beans were perfect for your day-to-day stuff. Your small change. They're easy to count, easy to carry. But what if you wanted to buy something huge, like a plot of land or a house? You're not going to haul around tens of thousands of beans, right? That's just not practical. So for those really big-ticket items, they used other things, like beautiful woven textiles or copper axes. Cacao had its own very important job. It was the cash for the common person.
And this scale here, it's just mind-boggling. We're not talking about a few bags of beans being shipped off. No way. The conquered territories had to send enormous, carefully counted shipments to the capital. This wasn't just commerce. This was the imperial tax system humming along like a well-oiled machine.
So when you look at the whole picture, the cacao bean was just everywhere. It was what you used at the market. It was how you paid your taxes to the state. It was the currency for trading with faraway places. You'd even get your wages paid in beans, or use them to pay off fines or settle a gambling debt. It was a real, honest-to-goodness, do-it-all economic tool.
But this incredible, complex system, A system that had been working for centuries was about to run into a wall. A new power was coming, and they had a very different idea about what real money was.
So when the Spanish conquistadors land in 1519, they see this system and they don't get it. And what happened next was this epic collision of two completely different worlds. You have the world of organic, edible money crashing head-on into the world of gold and silver coins, and, well, it was the beginning of the end for chocolate money.
Let's really compare these two systems. Cacao beans, they can go bad, they can rot, and people even figured out how to counterfeit them. They'd carefully empty them out and fill them with dirt. Clever, but not great for the economy. Now, European coins, they're made of metal. They last forever. And they're stamped by a king, so they're way harder to fake. The whole philosophy was different too. One's value came from being useful, the other's value came from the power of a king thousands of miles away.
Now, this didn't happen overnight. It was a slow process. As the Spanish took over, they started introducing their own coins. And for a while, both systems were actually used side by side. But in the end, the power and, let's face it, the convenience of metal coins won out. The cacao bean was slowly demoted, used only in small local markets, until eventually, it just wasn't money anymore.
And all of this brings us right back to that big question we started with. The whole story of the Aztec chocolate economy really makes you step back and ask, what even is money, really?
Because when you boil it all down, money isn't really about the gold or the paper or even the chocolate. It's about belief. It's a shared story we all agreed to tell ourselves. For hundreds and hundreds of years, millions of people all agreed that a cacao bean was worth something. And because they all believed it, it was. It's as simple and as complicated as that. And that kind of leaves us with a wild thought, doesn't it? History is full of strange forms of money. Seashells, giant stones, digital code, chocolate beans. So I've got a question for you, and I really want to see what you think in the comments. If money is just something we all agree has value, is there anything that couldn't be used as money? What's the weirdest thing you can think of that could work? Drop your ideas below.
Hey, thanks so much for sticking with us for this explainer. If you thought this was as cool as I did, do us a huge favor and hit that like button. And of course, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on our next one. We'll see you then.